contract expert breaks down the ins and outs of Terry McLaurin's ongoing negotiations and why Adam Peters is right not to offer Terry the $30 million plus that he's after. Are the Commanders the most exciting team in the NFL? And Micah Parsons doubling down on his trade demand wants nothing to do with the Dallas Cowboys. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. We got a lot lined up on this bit of a casual Friday, I do have to say, but I have to start somewhere else first. It has nothing to do with football or even this channel. It has to do with my lip right here. I don't want to see any comments on it. I was trying to relive the glory days, was playing some pickup basketball yesterday. About 5 minutes into the game, went up for a rebound, caught an elbow, got my lip busted open, and here we are today. It's funny that even at 27 years old, I can feel old and washed. I know I'm still in my athletic prime, and yeah, I got to make good use of it, but it was just pretty funny that I try to go out, be active, and that's instantly what happens. But it is what it is. It's still life, or it is life, and we're still here in front of the camera recording the videos on a nice sunny Friday. We got the weekend coming up. We got the final preseason game, so we do have a lot to get into. But before we do, guys, you want to support me, you want to support the channel, the easiest way you can do that is by pressing the like button. It takes 2 seconds out of your day, and it really helps me out by shooting these videos out into the YouTube algorithms, that magical place that I'm still trying to learn. As we go through here, make sure you do leave your comments in the section below. I will be responding to as many as I can, as always. So I want to start with another Terry McLaurin update, as we basically have one every day at this point. I was listening to Grant Paulsen on 106.7 The Fan. He was talking to Michael Ginnitti of Spotrac. Apologies if I did not pronounce your name correctly there, Michael, your last name. Spotrac does great breakdowns of financials and contracts in professional sports, including the NFL. And I thought that this was very insightful. Essentially, I don't know if it was Michael or Spotrac or a combination, but they estimated that Terry McLaurin is worth 3 years, $82.5 million on his next contract. That is an average annual value of $27.5 million. Here's a direct quote here from Michael Ginnitti, again, of Spotrac. That's his mathematical value within our structure. That's sort of where fair market value says he should be. And I think this late in the game, with the team putting their foot down this long, that's going to be the going rate. It's not going to be an overextension at this point in time. It's going to be all or nothing in terms of that fair market price. You know, reading the comments below, which again, guys, even if I don't respond to you, I do read every comment. So as we go through, please provide me with your opinions. As I've been reading through the comments, a lot of people have started to suggest that because we're getting further and further down the line and week one is approaching and the Commanders need Terry to achieve their dreams of winning a Super Bowl this season for the long term, different question. But for this season, I think most of us can agree that they won't be winning a Super Bowl without Terry. People have started to say that, oh no, maybe the Commanders and the team don't have the leverage anymore. They need Terry. They need him out there. You see what the offense looks like. They're going to bend the knee and they're going to give him what he wants. I don't think that's the case. Michael Ginnitti here, Spotrac, doesn't seem to think that's the case. Diana Rossini of The Athletic the other day said that according to decision makers in the NFL, so presidents, GMs, that whole bunch, they said that the estimated market value for Terry McLaurin was $27 to $28 million. There seems to be almost unanimous agreement that 28 million AAV with solid guarantees would be a really good contract for a player who's going to be 30 years old in a month. The only hangup seems to be on his side of the coin. And we can say that Buddy Baker, his agent, is giving him bad advice. Or we can say that Buddy Baker, with Terry being really his only very notable client, I think Jeremy Chin has the second highest contract of all of Buddy Baker's people. We can say that Buddy Baker is a bit out of his depth, and I don't know that to be true. I don't know the guy, but if we're trying to come up with possible reasons, we can point to that. But at the end of the day, we do also still have to point the finger at Terry. And we don't have to do it maliciously, and we don't have to tear him down and say that he sucks and he's not worth what he's demanding. But your agent is only in charge of you as long as you hire them to be. You can fire them. You can override them. You have the final say at the end of the day. The agent can tell you what he thinks is best for you and what he thinks your maximum value is. But when we've gone through this long and everybody in the world appears to be telling you that you are worth 27 to 28 million, aside from the Pittsburgh Steelers front office, but even then, let's keep in mind, DK Metcalf's still 2 years younger than Terry. When everybody's telling you that, there has to be sort of a realization moment. And I don't know if it's going to take the Commanders playing week one without him and beating the Giants. I still think they'll beat the Giants, even though I could see it being a close game. I don't know what's going to take. But at a certain point, you've just got to see not even the writing on the wall, the writing on the piece of paper that has been signed by financial experts, front office members, reporters, GMs, and hand delivered to you. At some point, you've got to be able to read that. So, Terry, I know you're not watching this. I'm not even trying to speak to you, but like $28 million for an age 30 receiver is a good deal. You're not being shortchanged. You're worth whatever you can negotiate. You gave it your best swing. You tried to negotiate the 30, 32, 33 million a year. You tried. You failed up to this point. It's time to get out there and practice. Like Cliff Kingsbury said, be at practice, be at the games. You are still a part of the team, and we got to get this thing cooking. As we do get ready for the Commanders' first game against the Giants, Benjamin Solak, who is an ESPN NFL analyst, ranked the most watchable teams in the league. If you're a neutral fan, which teams are you most excited to turn on? The Commanders, get this, number 1 in the NFL in Ben Solak's watchability rankings. And when you think about how unwatchable they've been for fans of the team, not just neutral NFL fans who have no affiliations with the Commanders, when you think of how unwatchable they've been for fans to now all of a sudden be the hot topic in the NFL. It's like, how did this even possibly happen? But then you think about it, and last year, multiple playoff wins, 6 fourth quarter comebacks, a rookie quarterback, a star quarterback, young players, a new coach who's exciting, a new owner who's turning the franchise around. It's a historic win, 4th down conversions. It makes total sense. The Commanders, I don't know if I'm in a position to say this as a Commanders fan, but if you asked me to rank the most exciting teams to watch, I would have probably put the Commanders number 1. I could see the Lions being up there. I think the Vikings had a really fun year last year as well. But the Commanders, everything just went so right for them last year. It was almost like a movie script. And part of my hesitation to say that they will make the championship game or they will make the Super Bowl this year is just because I felt like I was on such an emotional roller coaster last year. But we kept going up and up and up, and we never really dropped it all, obviously, until the Eagles championship game. But let's be honest, we were huge underdogs in that. And I think that was almost the expected outcome. Maybe not by the final margin, but as I've said numerous times, that final score is not representative of how close the game was. The Commanders were driving. They're at the 50-yard line. Eckler fumbled it. And if he didn't, they had just scored a touchdown on the drive before. If they get into the end zone, it's a 3-point game in the 4th quarter. That's very different from the 32-point difference you see reflected by the final score. But again, talking in circles here, Commanders, fun team to watch. That's pretty cool. It's just cool to get that recognition from fans and analysts around the league because we are not used to that. At least we have not been for the last 10, 20 years or so. So that is a short amount of Commanders news that compared to what we're used to in these videos. We are going to talk about the Cowboys now, but obviously, we're not going to talk about their roster battles or anything. No, we're talking about Micah Parsons because this is one of the biggest storylines in the NFL, and it directly relates to the Commanders as the Cowboys are the team's biggest rival. And who knows? Micah loves him some Dan Quinn, loves him some Joe Witt Jr. Maybe Micah's wearing burgundy and gold one day. We'll just see. But so what are the latest developments here? Jerry Jones was speaking with Michael Irvin, and Jerry really said some things that he probably shouldn't have. And I don't mean that he said things like, I don't mean that he said cancelable things or made any sort of negative comments like that, but it's just typical Jerry, spilling too many details, saying some things he shouldn't say, and putting himself even further into a corner. So on Michael Irvin's show, Jerry said that he agreed to give Micah the highest amount of guaranteed money ever for a defensive player. Hold that thought. Let me see who is making the most money. It should be TJ Watt. I know he's got the highest average annual value. I don't know who has the most guaranteed. So this is going to take a while because it's all quarterbacks. Okay, TJ Watt does lead that list. He's at $108 million guaranteed, $41 million average annual value. So Jerry is saying he offered Micah more than $108 guaranteed dollars. He also said that Micah has 3 years left with the Cowboys. That is notable because he's already played 4 years. He's on his current 5th-year rookie extension. The 5th year, they triggered the 5th-year option. And then the extra 2 years, that's coming from Jerry saying, hey, we'll franchise tag you if we have to. We're not letting you walk. We're not trading you. You're going to be here for at least 3 more years. That's a worst case scenario for all parties, but Jerry has shown us that he's willing to do that. And wouldn't surprise me to do it for him to do it in this situation, because you're not just going to let Micah Parsons walk in free agency. Either you're getting a deal done or you're trading him. Jerry also implied that Micah's agent, David Mulugheta, has a different agenda, one separate from trying to look out for the best interest of Micah Parsons. That is, despite Forbes naming his agent, again, David Mulugheta, the most powerful agent in the NFL in 2025. Here's a direct quote from Jerry here. When we wanted to send the details to the agent told us to stick it up his ass. Or stick it up our ass. Not his ass. That would be bad. Stick it up our ass. This deal is resolved in my mind. If the agent wants to finish up the details and do the paperwork, we're ready to go. But the dollars, the years, and the guarantees, we already negotiated that. So the problem here is that Jerry, the legend, I guess you could say, the legend has it that Micah came in as part of some sort of leadership conference council thing during the offseason because Brian Schottenheimer had told him he wanted him to take on a larger role as a leader. Micah goes in, talks some very general contract talk with Jerry. They say, cool, shake hands, go their different ways. Like, we'll get back to you. I'll have my agent get in touch with you, whatever. Jerry assumed that meant the deal was done. They'd sorted it all out completely. Micah, it seems like Micah was more like, hey, I like the sound of that. I think we're starting in good faith here. Let me get my agent in there, and then you guys can negotiate, and we'll get to the final end of the contract. If there are Cowboys fans watching that, please jump down in the comments below. Let me know if that's not the correct interpretation of it, but that is my general takeaway. Jerry thought they were done. Micah thought they were almost at a starting point and said, yeah, that's a good place to start. But so Jerry's basically since that moment has refused to talk to Micah's agent, refused to negotiate with him. And Jerry loves to do this. He loves to have his guys in the locker room. He loves to be able to talk with the players, talk contracts with them. And I think the reasoning for that, and specifically with Micah here, is he knows he's going to get taken to the cleaners if he actually tries to negotiate with Micah's agent. Because Micah's agent is a stud. He is the most powerful agent in the NFL, according to Forbes. And also, Micah is going to reset the market. He's going to get more than TJ Watt, average annual value, guaranteed money, all that stuff. And even if Jerry did offer him, what did I say TJ Watt was making? 108. If Jerry offered him 109, David Mulugheta is going to come and say, hey, why not 120? You have to pay us that because you don't want to let us walk. And he's most likely right. And Jerry doesn't have any desire to engage in those conversations with the agent. Now, after Jerry said all of that on the podcast, Micah responded by scrubbing all of his Cowboys affiliations on his Twitter account, took him out of his bio. His picture is now him with a former teammate at Penn State up at the microphone at a press conference. Nothing to do with the Cowboys. He also posted a quote that was something to the effect of, even when I fall, I will still win, something like that. But basically just more confirmation he does not want to be with the Cowboys. Ryan Clark, former Steelers defensive back, now an analyst at ESPN, also posted a video on his Twitter account where he said that he spoke to Micah's agent and he claimed that he never made such a comment to Jerry Jones. Now, whether that's true or not seems to be a little bit of he said, but Jerry Jones, by his own admission last week, said that the Cowboys are a soap opera and sometimes he'll drum up some controversy whenever he feels that it's needed. So is Jerry just lying? Is Jerry lying on this man's name? Is he stretching the truth? Did Mulugheta effectively tell him to shove it up where, but not use it in those words? And then he was careful with his wording when he was talking to Ryan Clark. Don't know, but all we're getting from this is there is continued breakdowns of communication along the lines. And unless Jerry comes to the table with a massive contract and negotiates directly with Mulugheta, this extension is not happening with Dallas. Now, it seems as if the Green Bay Packers are the clubhouse leader to trade for Micah. They've been the ones showing the most interest, according to reports. They have allegedly offered 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a defensive player for Micah. And look, Micah is awesome. He'll probably win a Defensive Player of the Year trophy at some point in his career. That being said, 2 first, a second, and a defensive player is a massive, massive haul. And if you're the Cowboys, you should do that. And I'm not saying that as a Commanders fan because I want Micah gone. Genuinely, that there is, as long as you're not terrible at drafting. And one thing I have to give the Cowboys, even as a rival, they draft fairly well. They're homegrown guys. They do a good job. It's the free agents where they really tend to mess up. Trades, they tend to mess up. But their draft picks are usually studs. So I think that's actually more beneficial. It makes sense for the Packers because they feel like they have the rest of the team in place and they don't want to wait on potential hits, potential misses. They want to get a guaranteed guy to go enter their Super Bowl window and really challenge for something. But this also makes sense for the Cowboys because they are in a bit of a rebuilding era, even though they don't want to admit it, because that goes against the brand of the Cowboys. Now, why am I bringing up the Packers offer here on a Commanders channel? Well, the reason for that is, well, how do the Commanders respond to that offer? And the answer is they honestly don't. The Commanders cannot compete with an offer like that. And Micah can make it difficult and try to wedge his way to wherever he wants to go, but I don't think he feels so strongly about playing for Dan Quinn that he would demand only the Commanders. And I also think it would be an over my dead body situation where Jerry Jones would trade Micah to the Commanders. But if we're looking at draft picks, the problem with trading 2 firsts and a second is the Packers can do that because they have depth, they are established. The Commanders still have the oldest roster in the NFL, so they need to transition to the younger generation. They only had 5 picks in the last draft. They've also mortgaged either 1 or 2 in this coming draft. I think it might have just been 1, but it might be 2 as well. Point being, they've traded away future assets already because they are trying to get these players who help now, but they also have to maintain the flexibility for the future. And they've done that with their 1-year deals and large salary cap space coming up. But at some point, you just can't afford to bite into your future anymore. And Micah's a terrific player. He would make this team so much better. But if you can get, let's say, if you can draft a receiver in the first round next year, and you can draft a linebacker in the first round the year after, and you can draft what do we need? A running back, safety, a defensive tackle, whoever in the second round of this year's draft. And those guys are all successes. Maybe not all pro players, maybe not pro bowlers, but they're all solid starters. If you get 3 solid starters at 22 years old, and you'd have to give up you get to hold on to one of your young defensive pieces versus you trade those 4 for Micah Parsons, it's probably better for the team to have the 4 players versus the 1. That's just the general rule of thumb in the NFL. You have the NFL draft is a bit of a crapshoot. So the more picks and the more players you have, the more likely one of them is to succeed. So 4 outweighs 1 in this instance. But guys, do go to the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Everything that I talked about, the Terry stuff, the watchability, the Micah Parsons negotiations. Again, any Cowboys fans, please do let me know. I don't know if this is getting into your algorithms on YouTube at all, but if it is, go to the comment section. Let me know if my interpretation of the Jerry Micah situation is correct. And also let me know what your thoughts on it are as Cowboys fans. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. I appreciate you all joining me. Once again, hit the like button if you want to support the channel. Hit the subscribe button as well so you never miss out on my daily uploads. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.
Chew with me.